Greetings, I'm Mr. Grimreaper 412, and welcome to another episode of Rip from the Silverscreen. Tonight, me and my special guest, Dark Knight 987. Dark Knight 987's back with me again for another episode of Rip from the Silverscreen. Tonight, me and Knight are going to look at the 1987 horror film classic, Hellraiser. This film was directed by Clive Barker. It is based on a story, The Hellbound Heart, by Clive Barker himself, so it stars Andrew Robinson, Claire Higgins, and Ashley Lawrence, with music from Christopher Young. This movie was directed. This movie was also written by Clive Barker, because So we're gonna take a look at we're gonna go through the plot, and then as you saw the other day, me and Knight are gonna be giving our thoughts on the film and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this is one of the ones that he has seen before, if I remember correctly, right, man?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So the movie starts out in Morocco. Frank Cotton buys a puzzle box from a dealer in a bare attic. When Frank solves the puzzle, hooked chains emerge and tear him apart. Later, the room is filled with swinging chains and covered with the remnants of his body. A black-robed figure picks up the box and returns it to its original state, restoring the room to normal. Sometime afterward, Frank's brother, Larry, moves into the house to rebuild his strained relationship with his second wife, Julia, who had an affair with Frank shortly before their marriage. What a fucking slut. But anyway, Larry's teenage daughter, Kirsty, has chosen not to live with them and moves into her own place. Good girl. Larry cuts his hand carrying a bed up the stairs and lets his blood drip on the attic floor. The blood resurrects Frank as a skinless corpse, who is soon found by Julia. Still obsessed with Frank, she agrees to harvest blood for him so that he can be fully restored, and they can run away together. Oh, what a beautiful couple. No. Julia begins picking up men in bars and bringing them back to the house, where she murders them. Great! Frank consumes their blood, regenerating his body. Frank explains to Julia that he had exhausted all sensory experiences and sought out the puzzle box, with the promise that it would open a portal to a realm of new carnal pleasures. When solved, the Cenobites came to subject him to extremes of sadomasochism. Kirsty spies on Julia, bringing men to the house, believing her to be having an affair. She follows to the attic, where she interrupts Frank's latest feeding. Frank attacks her, but Kirsty throws the puzzle box out the window, creating a distraction and allowing her to escape. Kirsty retrieves the box and flees, but collapses shortly thereafter. Awakening in a hospital, Kirsty solves the box, summoning the Cenobites and a bizarre monster called the Engineer, which is scary as a motherfucker, by the way. Which Kirsty narrowly escapes from. The Cenobites' leader, Hellbound Pinhead, explains that although they have been perceived as both angels and demons, they are simply explorers for another dimension seeking carnal experiences, and they can no longer differentiate between pain and pleasure. Of course, because they're fucking half dead.
Yep.
Where am I? Oh, here it is. Although they attempt to force Kirsty to return to the realm with them, she informs Pinhead that Frank has escaped. The Cenobites agree to take Frank back, and in exchange say that they will consider giving Kirsty her freedom. However, the catch is that they need to hear Frank confess to his crimes and escape. Kirsty returns home, where Frank has killed Larry and taken his identity by stealing his skin. Julia shows her what is purported to be Frank's flayed corpse in the attic. Locking the door behind her, the Cenobites appear and, not fooled by the deception, demand the man who did this. Kirsty tries to escape but is held by Julia and Frank. Frank reveals his true identity to Kirsty, and when his sexual advances are rejected, good girl, he decides to kill her to complete his rejuvenation. What an asshole. He accidentally stabs Julia instead and drinks her blood without remorse. Frank chases Kirsty to the attic, and when he is about to kill her, the Cenobites appear after hearing him confess to killing her father. Now sure he is the one they are looking for, they ensnare him with chains and tear him to pieces. They then ultimately attempt to abduct Kirsty. Ripping the puzzle from Julia's dead hands, Kirsty banishes the Cenobites by reversing the motions needed to open the puzzle box. Kirsty's boyfriend shows up and helps her escape the collapsing house. Afterward, Kirsty throws the puzzle box onto a burning pile, and a vagrant who has been stalking Kirsty walks into the fire and retrieves the box before transforming into a winged creature and flying away. The box ends up in the hands of the merchant who sold it to Frank, offering it to another prospective customer. Bad fucking idea. Really bad idea. Okay. So now we are going to go on ahead and discuss the film. What we liked and what we didn't like. I hate Julia. I really do. I don't like her one bit. I think she's a whore. I think she's a slut. She decided to sleep with another man, just to get her fucking rocks off and shit like that. I think even Frank is a piece of shit too. So I think the one aspect that I loved about this is this film is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Especially but as far as everything else goes, I thought Doug Bradley, of course you know who Doug Bradley is. Doug Bradley is the guy that played Hellbound Pinhead, and he's been doing this for 9 films. And I think the first Hellraiser was really good, even though there was some people that said that this movie was complete garbage. I felt that even though there's a lot of how do you put it, sexual tones in this film. There's a lot of weird shit in this film. I think that the Cenobites have always been the most horrific fucking thing that Clive Barker would ever come up with. You know what I mean? So, I think Frank is a complete bastard for what he did. And he deserved getting torn apart by fucking by the Cenobites. So but yeah, I think I thought Kirsty's character, is it Kirsty or Kirsty?
Kirsty, I think it's Kirsty.
Okay.
Yeah,
because I hadn't seen this movie in about 15 years, so I'm I'm trying to remember what I saw in this film. So, but yeah, I thought Kirsty's character was actually pretty good, and stuff like that. And Hellraiser I felt kind of sort of went over people's heads a little bit as far as how far they took it. And that's saying something. But when it comes to the sequels to Hellraiser, I think the sequels kind of sucked in a way. I didn't really like any of the sequels at all. I think I take that back. Maybe Hellraiser 2 was actually pretty good, but maybe. But as far as everything else goes, I think Hellraiser stood the test of time, especially Clive Barker's imagination. How he did everything with the film and everything like that. But what do you remember? What do you remember, man, of the first Hellraiser?
Well, I agree with you on one thing. It was weird. The whole situation with the chains and the way he looked. Oh gosh, that was, to me, that was a freaky part. Yeah, just you're just watching it, you can tell that this movie was not your average horror film. When the weird stuff started coming into play, you can tell how the movie just, like you said, it was just really weird.
Yeah, this was far from the normal horror film that we're used to. Especially with the sadomasochism, especially with everything involved. What did you think of the Cenobites?
Well, they were a little freaky to me when I first watched it. I mean, looking at the Chatterer, Butterball's another one.
Yeah.
Female. That's a weird, that's a pretty freaky looking group of people, led by Hellraiser, of course, and yeah, I can't get how they look out of my mind. The way they look, it's pretty freaky.
Yeah, I think the most scariest of the Cenobites was what was his name? The Chatter. That was the most scariest out of the Cenobites. Besides, Butterball really didn't do it for me as far as Cenobites goes. Later on, they would add a couple more members to the Cenobites, like Surgeon, a couple of other ones. I think there was like twin Cenobites, I think, if I remember correctly. But as far as everything else goes, I think that I thought the first Hellraiser was a good movie, even though they had some cheesy moments. Frank and Julia were both bastards. I hate Julia. She's a bitch for what she did. And I hate Frank and I'm glad they both got it in the end. For what happened, for what they try to do. So, from what I remember is that this movie didn't really, critics didn't really like this one all that much. Even though it was a cult classic, even though it was a good movie, people still shitted on this movie for whatever freaking reason. But I think this is still, in my mind, Clive Barker did what he had to do with this after making 9 fucking films. The first one still scares the shit out of me. This one. But probably down the line, me and Knight will probably talk to y'all guys a little bit about the other films, about the other Hellraisers. But yeah, I don't know. I think this film deserves a 9.5 out of 10. Really, to be honest with you, because there was some stuff that I kind of was like, okay. You know what I mean? So, as far as everything else goes, it's still a good damn movie. Even though there's some cheesy shit involved, it's still a good movie. But what do you think, man?
I agree with that rating. Like you said yourself, the cheesy moments are there, but then again, this is a classic as well as in the horror film genre. It's put Hellraiser into the ranks of a horror film icon, along with the other horror film icons that are there. So, but yeah, it has its moments. But I agree with that rating that you gave it. And so yeah, I guess it's our opinion, guys. This will be, excuse me, what we think of it. I mean, you probably out there may think different, but that's okay. But this is just what we think of it, our opinion. You know, kind of trying to get under anybody's skin or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is our rating. We gave it a 9.5 out of 10. It was pretty good as far as everything else goes. It was kind of, it's a weird movie. It's always been a weird movie. This freaking franchise has always been weird in every step of the way. But yeah, I still think Hellraiser was Clive Barker's. This is his baby, dude. Hellraiser. Clive Barker, the visuals, everything that he put together in this film was really, really nice and good. But let us know in the comments down below what you guys think about the first Hellraiser and all that. I got some more. I got a lot more fucking reviews to get to y'all. Get to here in a little bit. But let me know in the comments down below what you guys think and all that. Excuse me. And yeah. So that's gonna be it for me. I'm Mr. Grimreaper 512 with Dark Knight 987, and we'll see you all in the afterlife. Peace.